All right, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you all to this event. This is a brief introduction of the kickoff for the Plainfield Orange Line. This is part of a 5-year process. It's taken a long time, and a lot of hands have been in this process of putting this all together. It has taken tons and tons of hours of processing and reprocessing and putting things together. So I've become selectman. This is 9 months now. This has been 9 months, and we've been working on this on a regular basis. For those don't know the whole process of how it got to start, this was a missing piece of Plainfield. It was transportation is absolutely lacking in Plainfield, and this is something that was thought of 5 years ago to put it back into Plainfield. So the iterations of this have come forward to where we are right now today, which is called the Orange Line. The Orange Line is, you can get the documentation either online or we have pamphlets as well. The Orange Line is a representation of serving Plainfield, but it has connections to the red and purple lines for seat. And those connections are what really opens up the eastern part of Connecticut. Someone who didn't have options for transportation in the past now does, and it is something that I think is fantastic. It opens up new avenues and new windows for a lot of people. I'll just be very brief. I wanted to say that I have a little calendar on my desk, and it gives the inspirational comments of the day. And yesterday's, I thought, was actually the inspiration for me, was from humble beginnings comes great things. And I think that 5 years ago, you wouldn't think this process would take that long, but it is a humble beginning, and we are here at this point today. For those who were here earlier, may have seen that there was a few of the first transportation bus passes already going through. And again, it started a long time ago, and I wanted to say something that you don't normally hear, but what really brought this to me, brought this home, was the fact that there was a resident, or two, or three, but there was a resident in particular that I want to mention right now, Tammy Robbins. This woman is blind. She doesn't have access to transit unless she asks for the kindness from friends and relatives to help her to transport back and forth. How do you have a job? How do you then, provide for your family if you don't have that transportation? So for her, this is a fantastic beginning, and I want to see if we can continue and move forward all of these beginnings and make them really work for the residents in the town, and also, by the way, for the residents all over the Northeast, because it opens up the Southeast and vice versa. So I think it's fantastic for everybody. I would like to start off by asking for a few words from each of our guests, if you don't mind. We'll start off with the Bureau Chief for Conduct, if I get that correctly? Yes. Rich Andruski.
Good morning. Thank you, First Selectman, for including us in today's event. We at the DOT are proud to be standing here with our partners. The Plainfield bus service is important for a variety of reasons, but I feel one of the most important reasons for this service is the ability for residents to participate in their community. We think about this bus service, it's not, to many of us who have options, maybe we have a car available to us, we don't give it a second thought to get out and go for a gallon of milk or go down to town hall to conduct business. But if you're transit dependent and don't have access to a vehicle, or you're blind, or you have for whatever reason you don't have a vehicle, this is an absolute lifeline service for you. And we're excited about that. We think there's great opportunity here. This is not just about local access to local opportunities such as grocery shopping and government business. It also opens up a new corridor to Norwich and New London, and that's exciting. That opens up opportunities for employment, opportunities to participate in activities throughout Southeast Connecticut. And I like that you've chosen orange, the Orange Line. It sort of indicates to me that there's maybe aspirations to grow this, and perhaps there'll be other colors of the rainbow in the future. I am going to make a short plug, though, for federal and state partnerships. We at the DOT are facing an unprecedented revenue shortfall. I'll pause here. We have a photo op.
Right on cue. Right on cue.
love the enthusiasm. So as we think about the future, we need to think about how we are going to pay for our transportation system going forward. In Connecticut, you may have heard something about tolling in the past. It really wasn't about tolling, it was about the solvency of our special transportation fund. And COVID-19, unfortunately, has accelerated the decline in that fund. We are now seeing substantial declines in revenue from the new car sales tax, the used car sales tax, the motor fuels taxes. What was a fiscal cliff about 3 to 4 years out has now been moved up. So the question is, if we want more of these types of services, what are we going to do about it? I'll leave that. I don't have the answer, and I'm certainly not making policy for our governor. But I will tell you that stability of our special transportation fund is essential if we want to see more of these services down the road. And we're going to continue to work with our congressional delegation, Congressman Courtney and others, to support reauthorization of the surface transportation bill in Congress. That's another important and essential element of Connecticut's transportation program. In this particular service, we're using a blend of federal, state, and local funding. And it's important that, again, we have those revenue sources available to us if we want to see more of these types of investments. But I'll end by saying that we're excited about the potential here. We're excited about what it means to residents, and we're looking forward to hearing the results in the coming weeks. Those ridership reports, John, hearing those ridership reports coming in, we hope not just to hear the statistics of how many riders, but we're hoping to hear the stories, the personal stories of the individuals that are using this service. So with that, thank you for including me in today's event.
Would the Transit Administrator Dennis Zielinski like to say a few words quickly? Okay.
I think my boss has largely covered most things, but I'll say two things real quick. The first one is I started my career very early on at a rural transit system. And what I quickly learned is that there's two elements to providing rural transit. The first one is all rural communities want to preserve their rural charm, right? We're not rescuing anybody here. Plainfield is a great town. I come here periodically. I live right down the way in Wyndham. Spend a little time in Canterbury from time to time. It's a great place to live with a fantastic quality of life. The second part, though, is there are folks in the community that are transit dependent, and they do need accessibility. And so I think that's what we're here to do today, as Rich pointed out, is to provide accessibility to those folks that have no other means of transportation. Get them down to Norwich, circulate them into the rest of the system, eventually get them into Wyndham and other places. We have some more Eastern Connecticut expansion opportunities on the way that we'll be unveiling here over the next year. So we're very, very excited about that. Really, a lot of credit here goes to the town of Plainfield. When I was first approached about the new service, I was insistent that Plainfield rejoin join a transit district. And they quickly did what they had to do, found the resources necessary to join a district and participate. And anytime you participate in government as a small town, good things happen, right? Oftentimes, small communities, and I've lived in a bunch of them, feel a little bit isolated and a little bit left out. But Plainfield has participated in the process the whole way, inspired the process the whole way. And that's why I'm standing here today, along with Rich, and have an opportunity to cut a ribbon on a great new service. So we're thrilled with the opportunity to bring mobility here to the community and connectivity to everybody in the community. I can't say enough about the legislators, particularly Ms. Summers. I mean, she was so patient and understanding through the process that we have to go through to make this happen. We're very grateful for that. All the legislators for the Senator. Thank you for your support in the process. We have a lot, as Rich pointed out, we have a lot of needs in the state. There's a lot of folks competing for resources. And the willingness of Plainfield to step up, participate in the transit district, and the legislators politely moving this thing along is largely the reason why we're standing here today doing this. So we're very excited for the folks in the region. is just one more reason why Plainfield is such a great place to be and Eastern Connecticut is such a great place to live. Thank you.
And thank you, Dennis. I don't see Mr. Filchek here, and I don't think there's any representation from NECOG, so I would like to ask if Congressman Courtney, would you please step forward and say a few words? Thank you.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Kevin, for organizing this event, which obviously, you know, the big takeaway is it's a milestone for Plainfield and the region to start this new service, and trying to raise awareness about the fact that it exists is huge in terms of making sure that again, it's going to get the uptake and the ridership so that it will be a sustainable service, which it should be. As Dennis said very eloquently, Eastern Connecticut is a very special place. Its rural character is something that obviously attracts all of us to stay here, live here, invest here, participate in government here, and but because of its rural nature and because of the fact that it is more sparsely populated than the rest of the state of Connecticut, there is the tyranny of distance, which creates an obstacle for a lot of people, whether it's getting to work in the morning, whether it's getting to your doctor, whether it's getting to a hospital, whether it's getting to access to so many critical services, shopping, you name it, and trying to overcome that tyranny of distance by having available other options than owning a car, which for many people is just not a feasible option, is really, I think, just a huge challenge that so many of us all came together here to address. We obviously get a lot of casework calls in our office in terms of people who are veterans, seniors, people again who are looking for opportunities in terms of employment, and over again the tyranny of distance in terms of trying to find ways to get to work. Whether or not it's from Plainfield to the shipyard in Groton, or people even further north, up in the quiet corner of Thompson, as far north as that. Again, not being able to find an affordable, reliable way to get to work in the morning really, in many instances, deprives people of the opportunities that they have the skills and the motivation to participate in. I also, again, I mentioned this to Kevin when I got here, I just wanted to thank him for acknowledging the fact that there are a number of revenue streams that make this possible. The Surface Transportation Bill, which was mentioned earlier, is really the workhorse in terms of funding for transit services. And again, when people hear the term Surface Transportation Bill, they think of a highway bill, they think of roads, they think of bridges, and that obviously is a big part of it. But transit, starting in about the 1960s, became also part of the Surface Transportation Bill. And again, there's also a perception, well, transit money means cities. It means subways, it means trolley services. But the fact of the matter is, as this event really spotlights, it also means rural America in terms of making sure that transit services help connect communities like Plainfield, just like so many other parts of the country that rely on transit as opposed to cars and even buses in some instances to again, do their business. So the 50% of the funding that is making this project possible, again, comes from the Surface Transportation Bill. And your point about creating a sustainable revenue stream obviously is the question of the day, both at the federal and state level. In July, the House passed H.R. 2, which is the Move Forward America Act, which again was the most robust surface transportation funding in the last 10 years. Again, it did pass out of the House, and again, transit got a very healthy allocation in terms of H.R. 2. Who knows with an election so close, whether or not that's something that actually is going to make it all the way in this Congress. But the fact of the matter is we have a marker now that actually passed one of the chambers of the House, which has not happened in a number of years, which will again make sure that the Orange Line and other programs like it are going to have a very bright, enduring future. And but as was said, this is not an earmark. it's not even a formula program. It requires our local community to step forward and take the initiative to actually put that final sort of piece so that this actually becomes a reality. And the leadership here at the local community, again, the state legislators who, again, have done great work in terms of making sure that the state also participates at its highest and maximum level, is really what brought us to this final step and to this final milestone. So kudos to you, your team, Kevin, here in City Hall, to my colleagues in the state legislature. And it really does show that despite all the negativity and sort of the belief that everything's dysfunctional, what this event today shows is that actually you can make progress. You can actually bring people together and do something really positive that is really going to make a difference in people's lives. Thank you very much.
And again, thank you, Congressman Courtney, very much. At this time, I'm going to ask for some words from our House Rep. Ann Dauphiné to come to the microphone, if you would mind. By the way, this is a team effort. That's why the team is all standing here in front of you. So I do want to say that everybody has a piece and a stake at this, because we continue to work every single day to try to bring things like this to you. So again, Ann Dauphiné, if you would mind coming up.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. This has certainly been a long time coming for those of us that have been working on this. For myself, 4 years ago, this was brought to my attention, and I think Kevin already mentioned Tammy Robbins, who brought it to our attention, who's blind and a constituent of mine, who said she had no transportation to work. And then I soon discovered, because I represent Killingly and Plainfield, that there was kind of like this empty hole from south to north and north to south. People from Killingly and more north of that area couldn't get beyond Plainfield because there was this empty space and no transportation, and those from the southern end below Plainfield couldn't get north. So it became apparent very quickly that it was something that we needed to work on, and we started right away working on it. So hard to believe that 4 years ago right now was the beginning of that, for me anyway. And then 2 years ago we had been meeting very consistently and persistently with the DOT, and we were ready to launch this 2 years ago, and things kind of got mucked up, and there was an election year, and we got a new commissioner, and things got delayed again. And then obviously this past year we've had COVID come, so that's delayed it even more. So I'm happy to be standing here today. There's more than 50% of the state in their small towns across the state do have transportation, special transportation, so we're glad to be part of that. Oftentimes the eastern side of the state, or the quiet corner, gets neglected, but we're happy to be part of this and happy that this finally has come to fruition. Thank you.
And thank you, Ann. And if you wouldn't mind, another person who's been, I guess, all the way through this, it would be Connecticut State Senator Heather Summers, if you wouldn't mind. You may be saying a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you all rode the bus here. Haha, no? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Heather Summers. I'm the senator who represents the district. And I have a few people that I would like to thank. This has been a long time coming, close to 4 years of working on this project. But none of this would have been happening today if it wasn't for a few individuals. One of them in particular, I have to do a shout out to him, is Dennis. I'm sorry to embarrass him or call him out, but when we first learned of this issue, I talked to Dennis, and with his background and his experience being in places that had rural populations, he said, we can do this. We are going to do this. It's really important to him personally and to all of us that people that live in eastern Connecticut that are disconnected or do not have access because of whatever their situation is, to a car, to a vehicle, to a friend who can drive them, that they have access to get to where they need to be, whether it be work or school or the hospital, a doctor's appointment. And he has stayed committed to this for 4 years, and I want to thank you personally for that. There's been many, many meetings. There's been some heated meetings and discussions, but we've all kept our cool and our patience, and we have continued to keep our eye on the ball, which is today, which we are providing bus service for the residents of Plainfield and actually opening up the whole eastern corridor, When you looked at Plainfield, it really was an old mill town that was disconnected because it sat between two transit districts. Going north you had MECOG and going south you had SEAT. So trying to coordinate all those efforts between two different transit districts and two different selectmen at the time, and the state changing hands with commissioners, it was quite something to wrestle with. I want to also give a shout out to Kevin Cunningham. As soon as he became the selectman here in Plainfield, there was a solid commitment to move this forward. And for those who are here, there's a 17% payment from the town, 33% is paid by the state. And as you heard our Congressman Courtney indicate, the other part, the 50%, is paid by the federal government. Those are revenue streams that we need to keep available and to keep funding, because it's so important, as especially now in the time of COVID, when you're seeing more and more people leave the cities and come to the suburbs and come to where they have space. There's going to be an increased demand for this type of transit. I also would like to mention Tammy, I know people have, but I want to share this story, and I shared this with Dennis 4 years ago. When she called me, she's somebody who's blind and was trying to find employment. And she talked to someone in the state, and she was trying to get special training so she could work in a call center. And she said, I don't have a car, there's no bus, and the person on the other end of the line was clearly not listening, because they said, well, can't you just drive? And she said, I'm blind, how am I going to drive? So there's a disconnect between what people are experiencing here and sometimes what we see in Hartford. But I want to assure everyone that the people sitting here, Rich, Dennis, the DOT, Kevin Cunningham, my fellow colleagues, there is no disconnect. We have all worked together as a team to make this happen for the people of Plainfield, and I am very excited because this opens up opportunities for employment for people living in this region. This is one of the highest unemployment rates in our state, is this area. But now you have an opportunity to take the bus, whether it be to Three Rivers to get your manufacturing degree, and then on down to Electric Boat, who is continuing to hire. So not only is this great for appointments at the doctor, to get around to the grocery store, but this also opens up economic activity within our region. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank the team. This is great. I hope everyone will ride the orange bus. I will do all I can to promote it. I was hoping that we all could get at a different stop and take a ride today. And I would also like to thank John Filchek, who worked with us through this process. There was many public hearings, there was many routes that were initially proposed, but I also want to make sure that everyone knows here, DOT did yeoman's work in trying to figure out the best way to connect the routes so that people are not waiting at a bus stop for an extended period of time, where there's a smooth sort of fluid transition from one system to the other. So I'm really excited for today, and I hope that you will all ride the bus. Thank you.
Next up, we would have, if you be so kind as to say a few words, Connecticut House Rep from the 45th, Brian Lanou.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. Well, we made it. We're here. For the first time in almost a quarter of a century, Plainfield will have a bus service, public bus service. It's been, again, a quarter of a century since the town has been essentially shut out of those opportunities. It has deprived our seniors of getting to the doctor's appointments in the appropriate way. Been disenfranchised people from job opportunities in the southern part of eastern Connecticut, and college kids have been, young people have been prevented from getting to take college courses and to better themselves. And today is a monumental event. We're going to, for the first time in a long, long time, we're going to be linking the two transit routes of eastern Connecticut. Northeastern Connecticut and southeastern Connecticut, where eastern Connecticut will be completely linked. I find that extremely exciting, where our seniors will have that opportunity to get to medical and doctor appointments that they so desperately need, as well as our young people being able to have access to college education, as Heather mentioned, will be able to better themselves, get the qualifications they need, and then to head to the shoreline for even more advanced career opportunities. And this will also be great for our workers. We have great workers here in Plainfield. I know and met many of them. They're very industrious people, and this is going to be able to give them that opportunity to show exactly their worth, what they can do, and have that opportunity to get to this greater job market. This will also be able to increase the opportunity for commerce, both in northeastern Connecticut as well as southeastern Connecticut, where people are going to be able to travel in both directions. So it's going to be very, very exciting. It's going to be able to open up Plainfield to a lot of different people to see just how great of a town this is. I think this is an exemplar example of just a shining example of just how, when government works together, when it transcends party lines to get the work of the people done, good things happen. And this is the example of it right here in Eastern Connecticut, right here in Plainfield. And I want to, first of all, compliment Senator Heather Summers and Representative Ann Dauphiné, who have worked very hard on this during their entire tenure in the legislature as of to date. I also want to acknowledge my predecessor, Kevin Skolchek, who had worked very hard on this. First Selectman Cunningham, thank you for your hard work. Congressman Courtney, thank you for securing federal funding for this. I want to also acknowledge NECOG and SEAT, State Department of Transportation. Thank you for your hard work. But most of all, most importantly, the people who I want to thank and commend, who were advocated for over 10 years for this, who have tirelessly lobbied us, lobbied your government, brought this to the attention of the halls of government, is the people of Plainfield, for continuing to never give up, to keep your persistence. You're to be commended for this. I want to thank you for your advocacy, for your patience, well deserved, and congratulations. Thank you.
And thank all of you for being here today. I know sometimes it's difficult to get out of your daily events that you're having, but we do appreciate the fact you're able to make it here. So with that, what we'd like to do is we would love to have a photo op with the bus when it comes through in about, I don't know, 10 minutes. So we anticipate the route coming through here in another 10 minutes, and we'll do a photo op and a ribbon cutting for that. Well, for those people who are here, I see a few cameras around. If anybody would like to, I'd like to actually ask all of the participants that were here speaking today to step up, and we can have a few pictures and get ready for the bus to come up.